episode of it's the Be Better podcast. It's been that long since I've recorded one. I've just come back from holiday. I can't remember the name of my own podcast. We're winning it today. Back in January, we're recording the first episode in 2024. So happy New Year. Although it's probably already the new year because we've had a load of episodes come out before this one. But anyway, here we are. Thank you, as always, to our listeners, one of whom is one of our guests today. So thanks to Peter. You'll learn more about him in a minute. If you're a new listener, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy it and you'll check out some of the other ones. And as always, give us some reviews. Tell us what you like. Anyway, let's get into it. So with me today, I have got Peter and Clive. Peter and Clive, how's it going?
It's great. Yeah, real good, man. Nice to see you, and happy New Year. Did you have a nice break?
I did. I was just saying, before we came on air, just came back from 3 weeks in the States. Yeehaw, America. Everything is just big. And it's awesome. Yeah, fuck yeah, America. I do like America. I just like their style. Like I had a couple of meetings with some potential people that might help us get some business over there. And it's just like, cool. What do you need? How can I help you? Great.
Yeah, I'm the same. I like going. I've been to America a few times, and I like the way they operate. They're just so much more open and relaxed. It's just straight up. There's no hidden agenda. It's like, this is what it is. Take it or leave it, and that's actually bloody refreshing these days, isn't it?
100%. You know where you stand. But anyway, who are you two guys? Before we get too far down my holiday trips, we've got Clive and Pete. Who are you? Where are you from?
Pete. Cool. So we're Deep Down Wines, based in Marlborough. We're just a small organic producer. Making wines we believe in, trying to work with good humans, B Corp certified proudly. Really pumped to be part of the community. And we've been going since 2019. The business is just me and Clive, so small, passionate, and hopefully growing. That's how I put it.
And throwback for fans of British comedy, Clive, you might remember this one. It was Harry Enfield and Chums. This is Birdie. He is my partner and also my lover.
And also my lover. Yes, the Dutch police people. That was my favourite. I don't even get me started on Harry Enfield.
But you guys aren't. You're not together. You just
no. We're not partners like that. No. Not that it would matter if we
not yet. I mean, it could be.
But no. And we fortunately we live at the opposite ends of the country from each other as well.
Was that designed on purpose?
Yeah. Because I think if we spent too much time together, this wouldn't work. To be honest, I often call Peter my second wife, which isn't probably the greatest label for him, but it's how it feels sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Well, so I live in Marlborough, make the wine, and look around the vineyards. Peter thinks I dance around like a fairy, in the vineyards on the full moon, that sort of thing. It's not as glamorous as that, to be honest. But no, I make the wine here, check the vineyards, get the logistics sorted, and help out with the sales and stuff. And Peter pretty much runs the business from Auckland. But it's a 50-50 share sort of between our two families. And we're not trying to break any huge records or kind of create a massive corporation. We want to just have a really awesome business that helps to look after two families and does the right thing.
Nice. Super cool. So how did you two guys meet and decide, hey, were you both like just drunk in a wine bar one night? Like, hey, you look like you can make wine. Tinder.
My wife said I'm not allowed that app, so no, it wasn't Tinder.
She's like, why have you got this on your phone? I don't know, just someone said I should get it. Yeah. Awkward.
No, we met in 2018. I had a little consultancy which I'd run for 8 years, which was working with small New Zealand producers and working as a marketing manager for them overseas. And that was a lot of fun, learned a lot, lots of great experiences, heaps of travel, but it got to the point where either I had to start working for those companies full time, or start something myself. And me and Sarah, who's my wife, had always talked about starting our own little wine brand. And I was down in Marlborough, catching up with different people, talking to people, and I got put in touch with Clive, and we hung out for a night and literally had a couple glasses of wine and sat at his kitchen table from about 7 o'clock to about 2 or 3 in the morning, just chatting, and got on really well. Had lots in common, got daughters with the same name, both love organics, both love the ocean, just real natural synergies. And so we decided that we're going to start Deep Down. And it's coming up 5 years, which is emotional. Emotional, beautiful.
As Vinnie Jones would say. Yeah. It's been emotional. I feel like there's gonna be quite a few British comedy references that might lose someone. It's been emotional. It's from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which you can see as a movie. You are missing out
from
some great British sort of gangster dark comedy movies. And so is that story true, Clive? Is that how you really met, or just
pretty much? That's Peter's pretty honest, to be fair. No, that's true. And it was nice to meet him, and it kind of came at the perfect time for me. I'd been making wine for Saracen Estate for 12 years previously to that, and that's an organic biodynamic vineyard. And that felt like it was coming time to kind of move on from a big job like that. So Peter got in touch, we hung out, we spoke about possibilities, and it was sort of serendipitous, to be fair. We love so much of the same stuff. Like often we talk about football more than we talk about wine. We're both into the Premier League. As he said, we've got all these different things in common. But the most important thing is that we've got complementary, skill sets. It's easy to make wine. Well, no, it's really hard to make wine, obviously. But you can make wine, put it in the bottle. But then, selling it is actually the hardest bit, to be fair. And I wouldn't have been able to go and do my own label properly without, the Peter at our side, sort of as a partnership. I wouldn't have had the energy to have done all of that on my own. I don't think I've seen a lot of people try to do that. Just stack some wine in a bottle and then go out and sell a few bottles, but you don't go anywhere, it doesn't become a real business. And of course, Peter came exactly from that area, which I think is why it's such a good, relationship, really. So it's been really fun. I mean, it's something, when you do your own business after working for someone for so long, you do your own thing, like the doors are all open, there's so many options, so many things that you can do. And that's to me, the most exciting thing about our business is that we are small, we can be nimble, we can make decisions, and we can do the right thing. So it's been an awesome 5 years. There's been some ups and downs, obviously, like the economy's never easy. But no, it's been a great start, to be honest. Really proud of what we've achieved so far.
Super cool. And I think it's having hung out with you guys for a little bit over the end of last year, it's clear that you've got a great dynamic and you have that complementary skills, which is fantastic, which is what you need.
And a shared kind of passion for wine as well. Do you know what I mean? Like we've both been very lucky to be exposed to like lots of the wines of the world and kind of cut our teeth on things that are inspiring. And we're also trying to kind of make wines. When I say that we believe in them, they're not the kind of stock standard. We're based vineyards based in Marlborough, and the style of wines coming out of Marlborough are quite similar, and they've been massively successful. Over the last like 30 plus years, or 40 years, and they'll continue to be. But we genuinely feel like there needs to be an evolution in farming, being organic, and winemaking, taking away all the additives as well, and being able to do that and showcase wines that kind of inspire the next generation of drinkers and sommeliers and buyers is for us an opportunity, but most importantly, really important for New Zealand and the Marlborough wine industry.
Nice. So for I guess, so my dad used to be in the wine trade, although to be fair, I didn't really learn much because I was quite young when he was in the wine trade, so it wasn't really, it wasn't a thing. I would say from the outside the industry looking in, increasingly sophisticated consumer who maybe thinks they know a lot about the wine that they're drinking, but possibly doesn't. Add on top of that some pretty good marketing stories. Bloody marketing people with their colouring in pens, Peter. What's the sort of state? Crayons, the Crayola. What's the kind of state of the wine industry? So obviously New Zealand wine over the last little while, we're all based in New Zealand, that's had a massive hit globally. No thanks, or thanks in no small part to people like Graham Norton drinking his Kiwi-based Sauvignon Blanc on TV, which leads me to think, have you hooked up with one of the Premiership clubs yet to go, hey, would you like your own special boutique wine? Just saying.
No, there's no Arsenal Reserve.
What a great name for it though, the Reserve. Number what is it? Number 12, the Reserve. See, I'm wasted here. I should be working with you guys.
The state of the industry. I don't know, Clive. Do you want me to answer? Or do you want to answer? I mean,
I might get too emotional, Peter. You have a
go. We come at it from a certain viewpoint, so it'd probably be quite good to be pragmatic and look at it from a kind of bird's eye view. the industry has been ridiculously successful. Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc has been one of like the world's great marketing successes, and consumers can pick it. It came along at the perfect point in time in terms of it being acid-driven, refreshing style when there was a movement away from kind of big heavy Chardonnay. It's in terms of like food trends and kind of like health trends, etc. And it's a high production, fast turnover, good return business model. And so now there's a lot of outside investment from Marlborough, especially from overseas, from corporate businesses. Lots of the farming is monoculture and is commercial, which means glyphosate and all the other nasty bits and pieces. And a lot of people are making the same style of wine. And what we feel is dangerous is that everything goes in cycles, and so therefore the trend is that Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc could continue, but when it drops off, there's no kind of there's no parachute. There's nothing to kind of back it up. Like it'll just drop off a cliff. And to keep trade and consumers interested, you need to keep evolving. Everything needs to evolve, right? And what we think is necessary is to push towards organic. I mean, New Zealand should be moving that way. People should be moving that way. Baseline, because it's the right thing to do for the health of not only the vineyards, but the people around them. And stylistically, we need to keep exciting trade and consumers and showing that there's diversity and interest. And I think that that's something that we're really trying to hone in on. Clive, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'll just echo a little bit of what you said, really. Like, it's been so successful, it sits in the market well, but it feels like it's more and more fragile, the Marlborough wine kind of industry, as we go further. So to do our bit to kind of, try and expand people's views of what Marlborough can be is obviously, in our best interest, but we do believe it's in the best interest of the entire industry as well. It's just, I guess it's that classic, we're sort of almost moving here to like what happens across the world where one region becomes known for one grape, so it's increasingly hard to find more interesting grape varieties in Marlborough, for example, because production wise it's a lot more financially rewarding just to grow high amounts of Sauvignon Blanc. You've got a market, you can sell it, it's easy to sell, all those things. So it does feel like there's a bit of homogenization going on, and that's not why we got into the industry. Peter and I are passionate about wine. Like, as he said, we fell in love with all these different incredible styles from all over Europe. New World wines weren't really what we both fell in love with. I'm from England, so that's where I grew up with European wine. Peter's spent a lot of time in England working in the wine industry, so similar. He hooked into that. So it doesn't satisfy us anyway to just try to make money from the wine industry. We want to make products that we're super proud of, that do stretch people and stretch ideas and show there's another way. And when we discussed what we wanted to do in the first place, we threw it around and we had a few things that were just non-negotiable, and one was needs to be organic. And that automatically puts you into a different category, makes it a whole lot harder, to be honest, because the availability of grapes and you've got to change people's perceptions, and there's premium pricing and all that sort of stuff. But that's, we weren't interested in just trying to pump up Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc and try and make cash. That wasn't what we got in the industry for. So it's something that I think that both Peter and I really, really believe in. Like, we're really proud of what we're doing. It is pushing against the tide, but we're also finding opportunity in there. And I don't think I think we'll probably find it a bit easier to sort of launch a new product, a new face of Marlborough in this environment than it would be to just start another old Marlborough brand and try and feed that through the chain, because that's just getting dominated by big guys. So it's not like we're trying to change the world, but I guess in a way we want to alert people to things. As Peter sort of said earlier on, I mean, organics is one thing with chemicals for growing and what you can put in your wine. But the wine additions is something that we're really, really passionate about. People don't realize that mostly when you talk to people about wine, they just envisage it's like this romantic thing. People are hand-picking these grapes, beautiful maidens, hand-picking grapes, squeezing the berries into the thing, foot stomping them and just putting it in the bottle. Isn't all wine organic is something that we hear all the time, So there's this misconception about what it is. In reality, it's an industrial process and made in industrial, facilities. And the amount of, additions that you can put into a wine legally is astonishing. Things that change the flavor, things that change the sweetness, things that change the texture. You can adjust the acidity. You can add sugar. You can add. I mean, those are the softer chemicals I'm talking about. You can add, sort of PVPP, which is like a kind of like a plastic kind of pharmaceutical addition. You can add animal products. You can, like the list is literally thousands of things that you can add. So, our mission was to try to do things as naturally as possible and take everything out of the winemaking if possible, and to make wines therefore that told a true story of those grapes and where they came from that year. And the year is obviously changes the way a wine tastes, if it's hot or cold, or all of those things. And so rather than making a product that was trying to be the same every year, we want to tell a story of that vineyard every year, and also make the wine more delicious and have more character than kind of the competitors who are trying to make the same wine every year. So it's something that I think that there is definitely an interest in, like we see that. Well, we're selling wine, we're growing, so there's your sign. And it's a long road, but to us, it's kind of a bit of a mission without being, anarchists and shouting about it. You don't know what's in your wine, We just want to teach people and show them by, showing them our work, really.
It all just quickly, it comes down to transparency and being authentic. And the interesting thing is, if you talk to people, as Clive said, and you say, no, we're organic, and they say, aren't all wines organic? And we say, no. And then we say, this wine is made, a Pinot Noir only with grapes. There's no other additions. And then we say our whites are Sauvignon Blanc with a touch of sulfur at bottling, just as a protected agent. And people go, but like, why are you putting that in the wine? And if you actually sit down with someone and picked up a bottle of, X wine from the shelf in a supermarket and said to them, this has got 25 additions, it scares the daylights out of them. But there's no transparency from the industry. And in places like the EU now, there's like labeling like requirements, to say that you have to put all the things on the back of your bottle, or a QR code that will take you to a website that shows all the things. And in the modern world, there's a real appetite, especially with young people, for transparency, for labeling, food, wine, etc. People want to know what's in the products that they're consuming or putting on their bodies, etc. And we deeply believe that transparency and authenticity are kind of like a mandatory, and we want to kind of push that story. And as Clive said, they actually produce more honest, transparent wines that reflect the site and season. And at the end of the day, that's what we're there for.
Yeah, which is super cool because, well, it's quite a bit to unpack there. I think just what you were saying, Clive, in terms of like, the anarchists, when I first had my, what I call my hard Brexit from the corporate world, I was like, let's just burn the system down. Like the whole thing just needs to start from scratch. And strangely enough, not many people buy into that energy. It's not very attractive. Literally, it's like people just like, oh, okay, why are you so angry? I don't, I'm okay in my ivory tower earning lots of money and burning the planet. So, I don't care, mate. So I think, definite understanding of or the parallels that I went through when I sort of saw how business was being run in general. Like, okay, this is not working for anyone. We need to think differently. But I think also the backdrop to the wider food and beverage industry. I think most people are probably blissfully unaware, but I think, as you said, Peter, more people are becoming aware of actually just how, the food and beverage industry has. I left the medical industry because that has been co-opted by for-profit forces. But I think people kind of forget that the food and beverage industry was already co-opted probably from the 70s, when industrial manufacturing processes, like say all these additives and additions that aren't designed to make you healthier, they're designed to either reduce costs or extend shelf life to maximize profitability. And the food, I can't remember, I was listening to a podcast not so long ago. There's a guy who's writing a book on the food industry and how it kind of all happened. And he's saying, it's a really interesting parallel that, like you say, you kind of think, well, wine, okay, it's alcohol, in moderation, blah, blah, blah. But you don't expect it to be full of harmful ingredients, or at least ingredients that maybe aren't supportive of a healthy life. But beyond that, like you say, possibly even what was sprayed on the grapes as well, and how so it's not just, oh, we've got the grapes in, we've processed them, oh, and now we're going to top some stuff into the bottle before we put the screw cap or the cork in it. It's actually pesticides, herbicides, all that stuff. So and dare I say that the reason why the bigger companies do that is not, it's not because they want you to have a better wine. It's
no, it's just for cash, right?
Yeah. And if you want to go down the kind of glyphosate path and what it's doing to the farms and really people as well, because you don't know how far it's getting into your system when you're consuming these products. I mean, Kiss the Ground's a pretty good doco on Netflix that's worth checking out as a starting point. And then
yes, I think I've seen that.
There's lots, and there's lots of other information. I mean, Clive, you'd see so much of it with organic wine growers as well.
Yeah, true. I'm currently the chairman of Organic Wine Growers for New Zealand, and that, I guess, because I've been organic. I made the first organic wine in Marlborough in 2007, so that was the place that I learned. I sort of leapt into the area. It's kind of, I try to stay positive, but it's just a battle, because you're battling corporates, you're battling the cash, the finances, returns on investment, all that sort of stuff. And doing the right thing doesn't seem to come before any of that, and so it's big business here. But it is sad. I mean, I do unfortunately get to walk through a few non-organic vineyards as well to have a look at a few bits and pieces here. Mainly I work in organic vineyards and we only make organic wine, but I do see the other ones. And, for one, it's a monoculture, and I mean, there's a Sustainable Wine Growers New Zealand kind of organization sort of program that exists that everybody has to sign up to in New Zealand wine. But it feels a bit to me toothless. I mean, there's a guy at the moment he's ripped out, I think, 5,000 hectares of land in a questionable part of the region, taken every tree down, taken every fence down, taken every building off, and it's literally just vines. And I think to myself, well, how can you guys get sustainably certified when that's clearly not sustainable? Like monocultures are one of the most dangerous things in agriculture. It's like, if you don't have a healthy biodiversity on a place, then you literally can only fight with chemicals. You literally put yourself in that place. But it's big business, and so it does happen, and it's quite sad. When you look at a vineyard in Marlborough, for example, or mostly around the world, to be fair. I mean, most vineyards are non-organic around the world still. They spray like a 1 meter strip underneath the vines with herbicide so that nothing grows, and that means the plant grows faster and they get more yield and their operational costs come down, etc. When the vineyard rows are only about 2 meters wide and under every plant there's 1 meter wide, you're literally talking about half the land area in that vineyard is dead. Like under glyphosate, soil is dead, 100% dead. Like you've got to dig down 30, 40, 50 centimeters before you find any life because there's no oxygen coming through. There's moss there growing. It's all that sort of stuff. And so I think to myself, like whole regions are becoming dead, and hence that's why I got involved with Organic Wine Growers. It's kind of like, well, you needed some people that were sympathetic to what you did around you, and then there becomes a cause, and then you start fighting the cause, and then you end up doing that. And I guess that's why, in a way, straight away, both Peter and I are interested in B Corp as well, because we already made those choices before we considered B Corp for our business. We were going to be organic. We were going to show a new way that was going to, produce wines with minimal additions and be transparent and be authentic. And those were the key sort of stones of our business to start with. And then, Peter started talking about B Corp with me, and it just felt like the perfect match, to be honest, straight away, the perfect match. It was something that kind of almost put rigor around what we already chosen to do. So that's how we ended up there, I suppose.
Nice. Yeah, the glyphosate stuff, that's was it I've read somewhere or heard somewhere, I think it's something ridiculous, like 90% of Americans have got glyphosate in them because it's endemic in their food system.
It's terrible. It's really terrible. And we hold a conference every 2 years. The Organic Wine Growers hold a big conference in Marlborough. And one year we had this amazing woman from Massey University, and she was a professor of occupational carcinogen. Wow. So, that's cancer in the workplace. That's a terrible thing to be a professor of.
Yeah.
She highlighted some absolutely horrific things. just in terms of, like you say, like even when you walk in a vineyard that's been sprayed by chemicals, you take that into your house on the bottom of your shoes, you know, and at some point that transfers into your children's blood. You know, like that's how it works.
Yeah.
It's not like you've got to breathe it in, you know, and they can find this in people. Humans never learn till they've fucked everything up too much anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that, and I believe that agriculture is actually in that place, if I'm totally honest, and I'm not an activist, but I do believe that there's so much we don't know about what we do that I don't
100%. Yeah, I have emceed a conference. It was initially about 4 or 5 years ago. They started it. It was run by youth for youth. It was a bunch of school kids from Burnside School here in Christchurch. They put on this 2-day conference all about plastics in the environment. It's called EnviroPast, and just, you know, highlighting plastics and how you can, you know, mitigate them and some of the dangers of them. And they had a professor from UC. I can't remember his name, but he's a professor of toxicology. And he was just looking at polystyrene, and he said, look, this is like we know what polystyrene does to the body. And basically, it mimics the estrogen receptor in the male body. So polystyrene is, again, sort of endemic in our food system and in our water supply. And so as you ingest it in the male body, it mimics the estrogen receptor, so you're more prone. And we know that there's more estrogen in the water system from the pill that women take. So he just sort of highlighted 2 chemicals, and he said, you know, this is what these, you know, this is what the main one is, polystyrene. And there was a bunch of really great questions from the people at the conference, but I sort of said, well, you've highlighted one plastic. Do we know how that's interacting with Teflon, how that's interacting with glyphosate? And he goes, no, this is the thing. Like we don't know, and we will probably never be able to know what all that kind of chimera mixed together. How would you start tracking it?
No, it's depressing, like, isn't it?
It's so depressing.
But like my daughter did a project on a science project on disposable cups a few years ago, because you know they come from an environmental standpoint. And during that process, we did some research with her, and we found out that 1 billion disposable cups, and a lot of them are polystyrene. Like actually, the majority are still polystyrene. In America, they use polystyrene a lot still. 1 billion cups a day disposable. 1 billion.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Having just come back from the US, it's in like everywhere you go. So like you know, we took our daughter to Disneyland. You know, they've got these big signs that, you know, we're committed to a more sustainable future. You go into one of the 10 cafes or restaurants, you get a single fork and a single knife wrapped in plastic. It's like, really? It's like, if we just gone back, you know, even on the Ark, they would have had wooden knives and forks. You know, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah, it's insane, the amount of plastic waste. But on the flip side, you got guys like I'm going to actually get him on the podcast, even though he's not a B Corp. Greg Hart, he runs a regenerative farm in Napier, and he's doing some really cool stuff around this. And yeah, he's got some, you know, with all the storms they had on the east coast of the North Island late last year, you know, his farm did okay because he's not monoculture agriculture. He's got regenerative farming, he's got native forestry. It's all working. The soil's in good quality. Sorry,
and that's my experience too, just quickly, in organics, is that when there's been like the worst climatic conditions for growing grapes in Marlborough, like heaps of rain, lots of humidity, lots of disease and things like that, it's actually the organic vineyards that hold up the best under the most extreme environments, because they've got more resilience, because they're not just sitting there waiting to be fed, you know, dripping nitrogen into them for food and a bit of this, a bit of seaweed. Like they're actually working hard with the soil and the microbes to extract what they need in the right time and in the right balance. So yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and just quickly on the cup base, decent cups. I think they're based in Auckland. Have got a new Aqueous hot cup, which we use for tastings, but a good takeaway cups and ethically made and home compostable as well. So there you go.
There you go. That's progress.
Shout out. Yeah,
there is progress, and for all the doom and gloom. There has been so much progress, and I feel like the next generation or generations coming through are really hungry to make a difference, and they're ready to fight. And in a way, before COVID, I felt like we were on a, you know, there was more and more consumers that were making really ethical choices. And, you know, with the current kind of state of play with, I don't know, all markets are feeling the kind of pressure, and consumers have less money, and and I feel like people are struggling to make the choices they want based on their kind of financial positions. But I feel like there is an increased kind of awareness and an appetite to do the right thing where possible, which is positive. We've got to find some glimmers of hope amongst all this.
It's hugely positive because, as you say, the next generation are definitely going to take a different viewpoint to what our parents did, and now obviously we're trying to change that. But the next generation are way ahead of us in that. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's a period in time, so we can be part of the revolution.
100%.
We just need to be fast.
Yeah, go quick. It kind of almost feels like the parallel is almost like the craft beer world for you guys, where it seems to be like you're kind of echoing a little bit what's been happening there, where people, consumers drifting away more from the big box brands, looking for the more boutique, I want to know what's in it. And that seems to have had some success. Obviously some challenges as well, but
there's a natural wine movement, which so if you make organic wines, you have to be certified, and if you make biodynamic wines, you have to be certified by independent bodies, and they look at your vineyards and your winemaking practices and everything that you put into the vineyard and said wine. And the natural wine is
that's really weird, Pete.
We might have lost you.
It's come about from originally. Oh, sorry. You
got me. You went all weird. It was like you were in a trance.
He was at Burning Man.
No, I'm not at Burning Man. Burning Man.
So you're just saying the biodynamics have to.
Yes, and then there's a natural wine movement, which was started or kicked off by four tiny winemakers in Beaujolais that pushed against the grain in the 70s and 80s. And that was about using no additions in wine, and that movement has grown and considerably grown. And the baseline is basically you should be making wines without additions. That's the kind of mantra, as authentic as possible. But there's no governing body, so there's no technical, there's nothing to wrap it up, so no one has to follow to the code, and so it gets a little bit murky in there. And some of the wines are delicious. And we looked at that movement, and we make a natural wine, which you could probably consider more like the craft beer market, but we don't want to kind of be tied to the cross, if that makes sense. Like, we want to make wines as authentic as possible. And
we're seeing that.
We have to at some point.
Sorry, Peter. Sorry, I was breaking up a bit. And we're definitely seeing that how we've positioned ourselves, which is just authentic, transparent, delicious wines. It does actually reach across most, parts of the consumer profile. So we are selling some wines in the hipster places in K Road, as well as the fine dining restaurants in Wellington and Auckland, and they fit into all of those places, and that's really heartwarming because. If you just go out there shouting about like natural wine or whatever, it's you are very, very restricted in terms of the I guess the market, and also you're kind of, in my eyes, a little bit. It's a bit dangerous in terms of like, could it become a bit faddy, and is there going to be a new thing? One of these rotations.
Because that seems to be the risk in like the craft beer world is there's now so many. Like, how do you get that brand loyalty? Because
that's right.
I don't drink a huge amount. If I do have a craft beer, I'll go and check out the local supermarket. They clearly understand that they have a lot of middle-aged people shopping in the supermarket. So there's just reams and reams and reams of and each week I'll try this one, and I may never buy it again. And I guess that's the risk, is you become part of, because people. But you've got this real balancing act of. Because I think it's really cool, like you say, you've got the story of the year and the conditions versus having just been to the US. And if someone from Starbucks is listening, there was a young lady in Flagstaff, Arizona, whose uncle was British, and she knew how to make a really good cup of tea. The rest of your team haven't got a Scooby-Doo, despite frequent instruction. Like, can you just put the tea bags in, leave it? I'll come back and put the milk in.
I'll put the milk in myself. Don't do it.
So it's because Starbucks obviously aims for that consistency, but it's consistent mediocrity, and I think you're offering that like you kind of don't know what you're going to get, and that's part of the excitement of life, isn't it? It's like, this might be better than last year's, but I don't know yet until I try it, or it might be slightly different, and it might not be better, but it might have a different. But so I think you've got that really cool vibe and the story that you're selling, but then, like I say, you're kind of growing a movement that might mean more people start doing it. People go, well, actually, I've read that story last year, I want a new story next year. So yeah, how do you balance that tension? Or
there's just to quickly jump back for answering that, in terms of like, I guess you're talking about beer, someone like Sawmill, who we greatly respect, you know what I mean, those are absolutely delicious beers, but they're not overly funky or weird.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're just really delicious, premium, well executed examples of what they are. The Pilsner's delicious, the IPA is delicious, do you know what I mean? But they're not wacky, and their branding is very clean, and I mean, they're very focused, purpose-driven, B Corp certified. Do you know what I mean? That's probably someone that would be more akin to in the beer market.
That's a great analogy.
Yep. And Sawmill, is my go-to because they're a B Corp, and I've met Mike at KFC a couple of times. It's like, I know them, and like I say, it's great beer. So yeah.
And then on the kind of the seasonality, like, it was funny. We in the middle of COVID, we were trying to talk to new distributors in the US, and we couldn't go and obviously travel, and so we sent people samples of the wines, and we'd do Zoom tastings, and we'd send them 2 vintages of each wine so that they could see the seasonality differences. Do you know what I mean? And we could be like, this was what we did last year, this is what we did this year, and this is, like, obviously the same vineyard and similar winemaking techniques. And they were tasting our 2021 Pinot Noir and 2022 Pinot Noir, which were 2 completely different vintages. 21 was warm, 22, sorry, was cooler. So that you'd have these guys, or girls, sorry, I should say, from the importers on Zoom, holding up 2 glasses in their hands. One would be really dark, the 21, and one would be very light, the 22. And they'd say, what happened? And we go, 21, these are the seasons in the glass in front of you. And some people will be like, that's way too freaky. We can't work with that. Wow. We can't cope with that. And we'd be like, that's great. See you later. Thanks for your time. And then other people will be like, that's exactly what we want, our customers want. And it shows honesty and transparency. And we'd start working. And that was great. Nice. So it's, I mean, you don't want, you can't, for us, like, I think Clive touched on it earlier, like, diversity is the key. Like, middle age, being deeply scared of becoming old and only listening to whatever Nirvana and eating the same thing and watching The Chase and One Network News every night at 6 o'clock, and just repetition, Groundhog Day scares the shit out of me personally. And also, like, isn't life meant to be an adventure? Like, aren't you 100%. Meant to keep learning and keep kind of like being interested and interesting? And diversity is the key with what you eat and drink and do and activities, and the day that I watch The Chase, God shoot me, please.
Well, it's not that bad.
He watches it.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, but I do occasionally drop it into the viewing matrix. I mean, I hear you, I agree. I guess it's possibly why you guys are working. It's probably why I'm self-employed. It's why you're self-employed, because you wouldn't get that working for a big brand, but you get to choose that working in your own business. And it is, being self-employed is second to parenting and marriage. We've all chosen 3 pretty big adventures. So there's never many dull moments in life.
No. There's never time for any dull moments in life.
100%, yeah. I'm still waiting for my ass to catch up with me. It's like, I can see it over there. Come on, let's go. Yeah.
But not in a, kind of like being a hero way, but you also just want to do something that you're passionate about, and when you sign off, that you're proud of as well. And, I've got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and, the 10-year-old's getting pretty interested in kind of business and commerce and, I mean, the way that the world works, but, that kind of like falls into it, and talking to him about school and what he wants to do in life and those kind of things, and you're just like, Jesus, like you've got to kind of be careful of how you paint it, because historically it was like you have to work really hard at school and then get a good job and earn lots of money, and then it's the capitalist model, right? But I feel like there's an awareness now that, like, really it's doing something that you truly believe in, and money will come. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of, it's kind of switched in that sense. You know, financial stability gives freedom in a way, but like, you know, being able to do something that you genuinely believe in is a blessing. And so I feel really lucky, and I think Clive does as well. Do you know what I mean? That we do get to run our own business, and that we've found a place that, you know, we're not going to get to the end of this and be able to buy an island. Do you know what I mean? We dream of buying a boat one day together. That's kind of you know, the goals. But if it can create a lifestyle for ourselves and our families, and we get to work with awesome people, and make things we believe in, as I repeat, do you know what I mean? Like that's a massive win, right? Like that's a huge win. Yeah.
Amen. I mean, I think that's why we're all doing what we're doing. And I think that's why, you know, most of the people that we hang out with in that small to medium enterprise on the B Corp journey, it's exactly the same. It's like, we just want to have a bit of fun, do some cool stuff, hang out with some good people. And at the end of the day, go, that was fun. You know, that was an adventure, rather than, oh my gosh, I just gave 60 years of my life to Big Evil Bastards Inc. and all I got was a set of cufflinks or whatever you get in the corporate world.
And that's what's so cool about B Corp, though, is like the community, isn't it? It's like, what, you know, I mean, I haven't met lots of other community members, but I can see from the brands that are involved and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And people go there on their own accord. You know, you're not doing it because you have to.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. So, like, it's so authentic. I'm sure there are people that try to get B Corp because they think it's going to help them sell and all of that. And there's probably a few people that sneak in there, but I bet that's not the majority of people. It's so hard to actually achieve.
Yeah. I mean, looking at just our client base. I mean, looking at some of the companies that are B Corp, there's a couple that you probably go, yeah, I think that was possibly the marketing team that were driving that one. I'd say out of the close to 200-ish companies that we've had on our books or have on our books, we've probably had two that I would kind of go, you're not really into this, are you? You're doing this because you have to do this, and you can just tell, because it's like, hey, here's an idea, you could implement that. You know, that sounds like hard work. Really? It's like, it's a policy document you can just change. Yeah, nothing with the text. It's like, really?
The magic folder.
Yeah. Can we see the magic? It's in the magic folder. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you, I was saying, so Peter, you were the one who heard of B Corp first. Was that the story? You kind of brought B Corp to the table.
Yes. So when we were starting Deep Down, and I was wrapping up the old business, and me and Clive were talking, and I read a handful of, you know, different books, Simon Sinek and people like that. And I also read Let My People Go Surfing by Eve, the founder of Yvonne, the founder of Patagonia, and that had a fairly monumental impact on me, just because of, you know, them obviously setting up a business that really brain of how they kind of commit their employees, and, you know, like, well, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a bit better now.
All right, sorry, hold on. I'm just going to check my internet connection. Where did I get to?
Patagonia.
Reading Let My People Go Surf.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm just gonna.
We'll just have a quick intermission. Okay,
is that better?
There we go. Yeah,
seems okay.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sorry. So I read Let My People Go Surfing. Really inspirational, just in terms of how Patagonia ran their business, or do run their business. You know, like the freedom for their staff, in terms of working hours, putting a creche in the 80s. You know, so that people could be close to their young children while they're at work. You know, saying to consumers, don't come and buy a new jacket, bring it in and we'll fix it. Do you know what I mean? All the things that were going against the grain so early. And I did quite a lot of research into B Corp, and all of it resonated, and it felt like a really like a tribe that we wanted to be part of, and it felt like we were doing a lot of those things. And we talked about it early doors, you know, back in 2019. But we launched in September 19, and the world had a bit of a blip at the start of 2020. And yeah, there was a few kind of a few hairy years being a young business, trying to kind of get moving and growing. So we didn't really have much time and headspace to put to it. But yeah, last year we did 23, and we really dug our heels in, and obviously got to work with you, Tim, which was awesome and a lot of fun, and really like immensely helpful. And yeah, it was a long struggle, but it also kind of gives us a base to kind of to a kind of baseline now that we are B Corp to kind of grow from. Do you know what I mean? There's lots of areas that community, we did okay, but like, in governance, but like the environment, and there's definitely areas that we've got to put a bit of work into. But that's exciting. Do you know what I mean? There's an opportunity in there, and we just want to get better, and it kind of gives us that that ability as well.
Yeah. Nice. And how about you, Clive? When Peter said, "Hey, I've got this B Corp thing that I want us to do," had you heard of B Corp or?
Yeah, because I love fixing fog peanut butter.
Nice.
So that's where I first saw it, and I was a bit intrigued. But now when Peter started bringing it up at the table, and it was definitely something that seemed like a big deal to achieve, like a good thing to achieve, but a big, quite hard to achieve at the beginning, and it felt like, we did talk about it, I guess, on and off for a couple of years, didn't we? I'd say, Peter, but Peter was always championing it. It was always really, really important to him. And it was important to me because, I understood, once we looked into it, I understood about the other things outside of just the environmental stuff. I really enjoyed the idea of sort of, setting like the blueprint for your business going forward, and, like the ideas of having, things in your constitution that were going to make sure that you were like living up to your responsibilities for the environment or social, reasons and things like that. So it became very clear that, okay, this is something that really fits with us, and that was never in doubt for me. Like, it definitely always fitted for us. I would say that in the early days that I wasn't sure about if there was going to be value in it, like we didn't do it for value, but I liked more so because I'm inorganic, so I'm used to certification and rules, so to me it made a lot of sense on that level. But I mean, thinking about it, as and when we've sort of been doing it over the last couple of years or last year or so, of course, there's value in it. There's value in it for yourself. There's value in it for both of us, for our families. There's value in it for the environment. There's value all sorts. And I do, as Peter said, believe that value, actually financial value, comes back to you as well, because people, like all of us here, and we're not just B Corp groupies because we're in B Corp. We're that type of person that appreciates that kind of thing. There's lots of people like that out there. And I've been astonished since we've been B Corp, how many people have approached us, sent us emails. Meridian Energy rang me one day, they were like, "Hey, how are you? So you're B Corp," and I was like, well, yeah. And, so, as you probably know, Meridian Energy are, fully renewable energy and all that and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, look, we don't have a big facility and I'm not a winery as such, my electricity bill is $100 a month or whatever. It's not, a big thing. But that was a real sign that, people are trying to make those connections. Okay, they're looking for business opportunities
Sure.
but that's great. If the people that care are all helping each other out, that's what B Corp's about, right? Good business for the future. So yeah, no, it's been very powerful, to be honest. And I'm really excited. Like, we've just put it on our label this year. Obviously, we got certified in about September, October. We've now put it on our wine labels. It says B Corp certified on our front label. We've got the logo on the back label. We haven't taken those wines to market yet because we're still selling last year's, but we're literally just about to. I'm super excited to be able to have a different conversation and have see where that leads us as well. So yeah, it's super cool, actually. Really enjoyed it. I mean, some of the the paperwork stuff wasn't the most enjoyable stuff, but it wasn't actually that onerous. Like, honestly, it was just a lot of small things rather than like big things. So yeah.
It also, the thing that we also love about it, I think, is the snowball effect, in the sense that, when you're looking at your customers, it's going to your glass supplier or label supplier and being like, cool, tell me about, the board, tell me about your business, tell me about your environmental and recycling program, tell me what you're doing to improve, how many EV cars, all of those things. And starting those conversations with those businesses makes them think about what they're doing, and it gets them kind of reviewing their processes and what they're implementing. And, you're continually talking to people about it and bringing it to front of mind for people so that they can make better decisions or consider things at the least, right? And that's, I think, really, really powerful. And that's where I think that kind of momentum can build from as well. So, yeah, you just don't know what tentacles kind of, add to change.
I think, the B Corp community is a series of tails wagging lots of dogs into the extremities of their supply chains. And supply chain pressure is one of the big reasons why a lot of companies are looking at B Corp. I mean, even we started working with a spirits company late last year, and a bit similar to yourself, they'd been talking about B Corp for a couple of years, but the thing that pushed them over the edge was their European distributor said, look, you really need to have some kind of social or environmental accreditation for you to be competitive in the European market in 2024. He's like, cool, I'm not going to pull the trigger on B Corp. Will that be good enough? He said, that's perfect. So they'd already built a business around a B Corp, kind of a bit like yourselves, like in it for the right reasons, building the business around the right thing. But supply chain pressure is the thing that's leading to go, okay, we need to go get it done. And
I think I might know who that is. I won't say, but is it a gin producer?
It could be.
It could be.
Yeah, and we see.
I'll tell you afterwards.
I think I've had conversations with that person. That's awesome.
Right, possibly. I'll let you know afterwards.
And there's you know, like this our UK guys, so our UK importer, you know, it's like, oh yeah, cool, you're a B Corp now. You know, there's a couple of supermarkets that have got you know, sections in their wine department, you know, that are just B Corp wines, etc. So I think there is growing momentum there, and
100%.
Yeah, just more people that are able to make conscious choices, you know, is a real positive. Everyone lives.
Yep, totally. Yeah, I think I know Waitrose in the UK, they for the last two at least, maybe even 3 years, have been part of B Corp Month, which is in March. So they have done in-store promotions, end of aisle. Hey, these are your B Corp brands in this section. So WH Smith did the same. I don't think they sell booze though in the UK, do they? But yeah, Waitrose have definitely been one of those supermarkets. So
it's going to be month is in March. Did you say
in March? Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah, it was funny you talking about the labeling, because I know we were having some frantic conversations at the end of your process around. You're like, I really would like to put the B Corp logo, and I need to tell the label guy like tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I still haven't heard back from B Lab yet, and I'm like, oh, you can hedge your bets, but if you don't get it, it's going to be awkward.
But it worked out fine in the end, fortunately.
Yeah, of course. It's we only bottle we bottle once, possibly twice a year, and to go another whole year
without
after all that work, it would have been a shame. It wasn't a necessity, do you know what I mean? But it was like
you want it.
You
want it. Either just get your kids with some little permanent markers, drawing. Right, guys, show me who's good at drawing bees. Come on.
The marketing department with their crayons.
Literally.
Perfect.
Finally,
as long as we don't end up.
Team.
As long as we don't end up with those bloody stickers that all those wine producers put all those gold medals on the wine labels, and there'll be like one that says B Corp, you know.
Buy a pack of 100 B Corp badges, to put on your
just throw them on whatever you want.
Super cool. I think it's going to be really interesting to hear your feedback. Maybe we do a short update later in the year once you've had some of those conversations with your global distributors to see how that goes. I think you've clearly got that ability to craft that story though, and I think you'll be able to make use of it. I think it just gives that depth to the story that you've already got around, not only is our wine produced in a manner that it's ethical, sustainable, environmentally conscious, but we run our business in that way as well. So it's kind of like you're a toother. Super cool. So you're obviously only a few months into your B Corp, but what were the areas that you were kind of, when you went through the assessment, like, ooh, okay, we might need to have a think about that one, in terms of looking to the future for your next certification?
The customers section was where we did quite poorly, to be honest. Strange. How do you put this? The environment was okay. And governance was okay as well. The community was strong. We've got lots of room to grow. Lots of there's a decent list of things that we want to implement. To be transparent, we haven't really put much thought to it since last October. Do you mean?
It's fair enough. Christmas and New Year.
But it's good. Sorry, you go, Clive.
No, I was going to say, and I think it was really good as we went through the process, and you probably start off with 100 points or 120 points, something like that, and then as you get further into the thing, you start to realize you're losing a few points here and there, as things get verified, and and to end up just to be certified was fantastic, of course, but like just during that process there was a lot of things that were highlighted during there, and it's like, okay, well, it doesn't take much to do a little bit more here and a little bit more here. Now we're not ready for that right now because we just want to get this over the line. and also we know we've got a commitment to improve every 3 years, of course, which we're really excited by. So, it's hard to say exactly. To me, the environment one, I thought we would do better in, to be honest. But then we don't have staff. We don't have like our own actual environment, our own vineyard and that sort of stuff like that.
Yep.
And also, I think the first year, you set it pretty low, and then you'll start to add things on as you go. And I think that I feel that it's going to be quite easy for us, and that's famous last words, to increase that score. But I really do. For example, we do some consultancy with organics with other people to help them lead them into the organic, viticultural winemaking as well. We'll offer that as a service, and that wasn't able to be, accounted for in our first assessment, and all of that. So, those sorts of things I feel quite confident about adding it on. And we're not driven by getting a massive score. We just want to improve every 3 years.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say you kind of fell between a couple of stools in terms of just how you're. Because because I'm trying to remember now, I think we had you down as wholesale retail because that's kind of what you do. But then we moved to agriculture because of the quirks of the B Corp assessment, and particularly because there's not that many wineries. You got moved into the agricultural sector, which wasn't perhaps the truest reflect. So people listening, there's some specific requirements around like percentage of product that you sell or manufacture, or do you warehouse it. There's like some real nuances which can dictate whether you end up being in wholesale retail or manufacturing or agricultural grower. And so you guys are a sales and marketing wholesale retail outfit, but by quirk of the system you kind of got thrown into the agricultural growers one, which probably meant you got some questions that were harder for you to answer because you're not in control of the. But anyway,
but it all worked out fine, it was really helpful, people were really helpful, yourself and Daniel, and it was a good process.
Nice.
It was a relief.
We're in. Year one, just get certified, and then build from there. Nice. So what does the future look like then for Deep Down? What's on the card for 2024? New year, new you, and all that. What's going on? Pete's obviously not changing his haircut yet, despite
he hasn't cut his hair yet. That's a shame. There's no progression there. So we're excited to launch a new wine as well this year, which is something that's really fun and really fits into like the whole ethos of our business, which is it's called Deep Down Blanc. It's not very it's a wine that's sort of a blend of 3 different grape varieties, one of which is red, so Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon, a blend. And it wasn't just let's pick up these bits of wine and throw them together and make a new wine. It was like real thoughtful, and it's been planned for a year. And so we're excited to take a new story out at the same time with that. It's limited release. It always gets the markets frothing a little bit, when a new thing comes out that's unique. It helps to kind of keep the energy around your business. Although it won't be the biggest wine that we sell in the year for sure, like Sauvignon Blanc is going to be 50 times bigger in terms of volume or whatever. So that's really exciting. It's really exciting to have the story about B Corp, to be honest, because we've sent out a mail or chimp to all of our customers and told them, etc. But to sit down with the people on the front line and have the conversation, that's that almost pyramid scheme thing happening again, where you go out and we're going to talk to the entire decent wine industry about B Corp, and those questions are going to come back. So that's something that's really exciting for us, and we've been talking to them a little bit about it, but now we can point it out, explain the bottle, all that sort of stuff. So I think for last year was a pretty tough year on a lot of fronts for everybody, and we're excited with the new start this year and the new wine and the B Corp launch and all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much what we're going to try and do. We're trying to expand our markets still overseas. Peter's that's what Peter does. And we're happy to say that we're exporting some wine to South Korea shortly, hopefully, and Japan as well. New markets there. So it's onwards, onwards and upwards, hopefully.
And the season, the growing season's going really well. So the grapes are looking, or the vines, so are looking healthy, and everything's looking balanced, and potential crop is looking, kind of not too small, not too big. Balanced again is probably the word. And as long as we have a good run to the end of the season, we could be up for some, like absolute stellar grapes and then delicious wine. So that is, touch wood on the agenda
Yeah.
for
Nice.
24. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's all happening. And so,
Well,
sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, like we make the best wines we can every year, but when you don't have a toolbox of, 70 different ingredients or additions you can add, when you're literally picking the grapes and putting them into a bottle rather than being able to, make a big mac and make it consistent, it's quite a different, approach for us.
Nice.
So good. So healthy growing seasons are always welcomed.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, you'd be doing your rain dances and your sun dances at the appropriate moments throughout the year, and hoping that it all goes your way. And so for people that want to try some Deep Down wine, where can they buy it from you guys directly, or where's the best way to get hold of some?
We sell direct to people if they email us. We don't have e-commerce on the website yet. Watch the space. We also have a few retailers around the country. If Auckland by the Bottle does a good job, but of Caro's, Point Wine, Organic Wine Store, Faro. But we're about 98% of our business is restaurant trade. So we're lucky to say that we're in lots of places. In Tamaki Makaurau, down in Tauranga, Mount Maunganui, Hamilton, Wellington, etc. So lots of, really, we love working with small, passionate owner-operator restaurants.
Yeah,
that's me and Clive have both worked in restaurants in the past, like many moons ago, and we both got a deep interest in food. We grow our own vegetables and are both passionate cooks. Not to say that we're good cooks, but we're passionate cooks. And we love that kind of restaurant environment. And the people that work in there are usually really passionate about what they do, the sourcing, especially the smaller places, and wines as well. Do you know what I mean? Like they love that kind of that side of hospitality. And so working with them, lots of them become friends and we're lucky to be well represented in restaurants around the country. So
nice.
You'll see them.
So if you're going out for dinner, having listened to this, ask the waiter or the sommelier that I'd like Deep Down, please. And if they don't have it, then say we need to ring Pete and Clive and get it on your wine list, please.
Yeah, and so our website is www.deepdownwines.co.nz. But I'm always thinking the UK, unfortunately.
Yeah, I must admit, it's sort of split. Yeah, that constant challenge of being split between two worlds. Fun times. Well, that's super cool. Thanks, guys, for popping on for an episode of the podcast. I like hanging out with you two. You make me laugh. You're right, like the two Ronnies or Hale and Pace. There we go. We're getting really old school British comedy now.
Wow.
Or
Dumb and Dumber, maybe.
Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumberer. Yeah. I love what you're doing. You have a great tasting wine. You were very gracious in sending me a bottle of your Pinot Noir, which was super tasty. You're just another cool little business trying to make a little dent into the universe, do some cool stuff, change up some things, and doing it in a really cool way. So go you. And just if everyone out there, if you're looking for a nice wine to try, Deep Down, give it a go. What could possibly go wrong? Nothing.
Thanks for the kind words, mate. Yeah, it means a lot. That's exactly how we see ourselves, to be fair. So
I'd say you're pretty open and transparent.
We certainly are.
Thanks, Tim. It's hugely appreciated, mate. It's been really cool to connect, work together, and hang out as well. It's been a lot of laughs. So I hope you have an awesome year as well. You certainly deserve it. So bring on 24.
I reckon. We finished that last year pretty well. And things are looking pretty exciting already for 2024. So I need a holiday from my holiday to prepare myself for the onslaught that's about to happen, I feel. So, Cool.
Enjoy summer.
All right, guys.
Thanks very much, mate.
Get you soon.
Go. Cheers, mate.
Hey, it's Tim here, that B Corp bloke from Grow Good. If you want more content on purpose, B Corp, how to do more good in the world as an individual or a business, then you know the drill. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos. They're probably floating around here somewhere. You know how it works. Thank you so much. See you next time.